fuel, give me fire, give me that which I desire.
There are motor enthusiasts, and then there's Paul Jabke. In his collection of vehicles, one stands out.
Let's start it up.
This is the Ram 1500, nearly 400 horsepower, V8 engine American pickup transport.
Well, you've got to have a V8. It's loud, it's got enough power, it's a perfect work vehicle. You can park anywhere you like.
Parking anywhere you like is a huge attention getter for big pickups, most of it not good. Here, this Ram pickup just fits inside the lines, but the bonnet isn't close. When you park in a spot like this, your bonnet is really hanging out there.
Absolutely. I wouldn't normally choose to park in a spot like this. This would be a very temporary fix.
For urban activists like Thomas Raymond, the space Rams take up parking is just the beginning of their many drawbacks.
If I see a Ram, I have to take a deep breath. I know that people love him. I know that people worship him. I understand that, but I have to step back, take a breath to make sure that I don't go out in a fit of rage and explode.
Not surprisingly, Raymond is a dedicated cyclist. He's not opposed to people driving cars, just as long as they're not bigger and more fuel guzzling than drivers really need.
What do you see when you see one of these?
I see a waste of space and a completely oversized vehicle for its potential uses.
And they're all over the cities, right?
They are. It's a plague on our cities.
Eats up heavy loads.
Of more than 1 million vehicles sold in Australia by October of this year, only 5,000 were Rams. The auto industry says premium pickups are only a small but highly visible part of what's driving size inflation on Australian roads.
The big growth in the market has been for SUVs, and they have taken over from sedans that were traditionally the largest portion of the Australian market.
That's right, sedans were once as Australian as football, meat pies, and kangaroos. Of course, this iconic brand has disappeared. The nation has moved on.
Australians have always driven large cars since the 1960s. What's happened in recent times is we've moved away from sedans to SUVs and utes.
For more than a decade, a small business tax write-off scheme encouraged many tradies to buy pickups and utes and helped fuel sales. And now, even what we call utes have exploded in size. Paul, 20 years ago, that was a ute. Nowadays, these big pickups are called utes. What happened?
Basically, the times have changed. They got rid of the smaller cars and went bigger. Everyone wanted more room, more space. We don't have an Australian car anymore. Every new car is imported. So it's a matter of people picking and choosing what they want.
Choosing bigger and bigger cars has serious environmental consequences. Transport accounts for nearly 1/5 of Australia's greenhouse gas emissions, and a big part of that is the booming SUV and pickup market. Here, almost alone in the developed world, there are no fuel efficiency standards for vehicles at all.
About 85% of the world's car markets have fuel efficiency standards in place, including every other well-off country apart from Russia. So Australia is really dragging the chain in not having these standards in place.
Fuel efficiency standards regulate how much pollution cars emit.
The lack of fuel efficiency standards in Australia has meant that we've become a dumping ground for vehicles that simply can't be sold in other markets because they're too polluting and too expensive to run. Every day that we wait, more new cars are being sold in Australia that are higher emitting and more expensive to run at a time of really high and rising petrol prices.
The federal government says it will release its preferred model for fuel efficiency standards by the end of the year. So, will that mean we'll start seeing fewer petrol SUVs and pickups and more EVs on the road? Tony Weber says, don't hold your breath.
I don't think that's driven by fuel efficiency standards. I think that's about consumers' demand for those products. They meet their needs. For many people, they are a very good option and they exercise that option.
Ram driver Paul Jabke says this is the only option. He regularly tows a 4.5-ton trailer. This, he says, is also about pulling power.
What about electric trucks? Could you ever see yourself in an electric pickup truck?
The towing capacity on the electric vehicles is not up to date yet. They haven't got the capacity to tow.
But that reasoning doesn't convince this self-described advocate of livable cities.
Most people who own them don't end up seating 5 people in their car full of however many tons it can purportedly carry in the back. Maybe they do once, twice, 3 times a year, but you can rent vehicles that do the same thing. You don't need to own it 100% of the year. You can rent it when you need it.
But Paul Jabke says he does need his Ram all the time. He's happiest driving the biggest and meanest truck on the road.